Hello all. In this video, we'll be understanding about the various legal provisions, constitutional provisions with respect to taxation. So as you can see on the screen, these are the sets of articles which are related to taxation right from preamble. See any subject for that matter or any topic for that matter, whenever you're writing constitutional provisions, you have to start with the preamble. What preamble tells first, then other articles you have to start. And preamble, along with that, Article 13 is always important. Article 13, Clause 3, as law student. Why? Because Article 13, Clause 3 speaks about what law is. Right? As law students, as you are writing law paper, you have to understand Article 13, Clause 3, importance of Article 13, Clause 3. Okay. Next, the other constitutional provisions with respect to taxation are Article 112, which speaks about annual financial statement, which is also called as budget. See, taxation is all about the money that the government has taken from us and again investing back on the people, right? So now how it is done? Again, the answer is annual financial statement through that is budget. Next, Article 245 and 246. This speaks about law making power of whom? Parliament and state legislature. So these two, what power they have in law making, right? So with respect to tax law also, who has the power? So all these things are discussed in these articles. Next, specifically speaking about taxation, we have Article 366. 366, very important. It is here in this article that we find the definition of what tax is, what is goods and service tax. Okay, so what is the definition of goods? What is the definition of service? What is the definition of tax? It is defined in Article 366. Next, schedule number 7, which has 3 lists, right? Union list, state list, and concurrent list. And this is also important with respect to taxing power of the parliament and state legislature. There are certain items which you have to keep in our mind, which is mentioned in 7th schedule. Next, part 12, very important, spine of taxation. Entire, see, as you can see, you have so many points here on screen. This is very important. Part 12 of Indian Constitution is very important, starting from, what is that? Starting from your starting from your Article 265, 265 to 289 speaks about very important legal provisions, constitutional provisions of taxation, the power of union, power of state in taxing, what is net proceeds, what is consolidated fund of India, what is contingency fund of India, everything, and what is finance commission, everything you find in this set of articles. Next, Article 301 to 304, very important set of articles which speaks about not directly about taxation, but however this part is related to taxation. How? Because this part speaks about trade and commerce. So my dear friends, you have to understand that without trade and commerce you can't even imagine about money, and without money you can't even imagine about taxation, right? So trade and commerce is very important with respect to taxation, directly or indirectly. This part is very important for us. Part 13, so very easy to remember, part 12 and part 13 of Indian Constitution. All right, let us go to the next slide. So I'll just run through the slides quickly. So this is the complete explanation. There's nothing much required, so explanation can just pause wherever required and learn in detail. Okay, so constitutional provisions, if you're asked anywhere in any kind of examination, you should be in the position to frame all these articles. So see, preamble, what preamble tells? How can you link it with taxation? Preamble speaks about justice with respect to what? Economic, social, and political justice. So it is speaking about economical justice. So taxation, if you are taxed, again, you have the right to be economically treated in a equal manner, right? So justice with respect to economical justice. Next, equality with respect to status. Taxation tries to achieve equality. To see, you can't achieve equality to 100%. It is not ever possible. We all know the reality. This is how the nature has been designed. So equality, you strive to achieve it. Equity is important for us, that we have to keep in our mind. Next, it also speaks about dignity of individual. So government needs money to make sure that individuals live their life in a dignified way. If government itself is not having money, how can you expect it to make someone's life in a dignified manner, right? So that is one important aspect. Next, unity of the nation. Unity of the nation. It shows, so if you're contributing your share, that shows you are united. Only then, when financial strength is there, you can defend yourself. You are said to be united. Right from the border, you need money to defend yourself, up till the local level of your family. In order to protect your family also, you need money. So very important. Taxation is like breadth of administration. It is breadth of administration, and this constitutional provisions speaks about all these criteria as a nation, how we are functioning. Next, as you can see, Article 13 speaks about law. So please read it. I'm not explaining it in detail. I'm giving you the heads up where to focus, what to focus, and what to learn. Law includes ordinance, bylaws, rules, regulations, notifications, customs. That is, it includes law enforcement especially, and therefore income tax is also a law under what? Under Article 13, correct? Law enforce. Next, Article 245 speaks about lawmaking power of what? Parliament, state legislature, as you can see. So next, lawmaking power, again with respect to state and central government. So here we have three lists specified. There is Schedule 7. So Article 246 and Schedule number 7 is linked. So you have to keep that in your mind. Next, Article 366, as I told, very, very important. There are so many articles. Okay, in this article, sub-articles we have. And as you can see, red highlighted words give the definitions of all these things. See, it speaks about what is goods and service, what is taxation, what is income on, tax on income. So all these terms are defined in Article 366. So don't you feel this is very important article? And you have another article, tax on sale or purchase of goods. Okay, so this is how it is being structured. All right, so here we have a study material. You can just go through that. Next, part 12 of Indian Constitution, as I told, it is very important spine of taxation, because here you find the articles provisions related to taxation. All right, so we have, for our understanding, we have divided the articles into two sets: 264 to 281, 282 to 289. Two sets of articles we have decided for our better understanding. Okay, so what does this part speaks about? Part 12, from 264 to 291, you can see that we have 264 to 267 general provisions. Next, 268 to 281, it speaks about distribution of revenue. So this is what is very important. Or whatever politics or whatever it might be, everybody are behind revenue. They want their share. As you can see in politics, news also, there is always a blame. Central government did not give it the share to the state government. All those things, dramas we have found. Everything is linked to this articles itself. Okay. Next, 282 to 291, miscellaneous financial provisions. This generally you can keep in your mind, and not that much important. Okay, next. See, this is how it is being designed, structured in our Indian Constitution. Article 264 speaks about interpretation clause. 265 is very important article. Why? Because it tells tax can be imposed only by authority of law. Very important word, authority of law. You have to keep in your mind. Tax, who can impose? Anyone who has the authority. And who gives authority to that person or that particular body? It is again the law in force, Article 13. Okay, next, it speaks about Consolidated Fund of India, 266. 267, Contingency Fund of India, and duties levied by union but collected and appropriated by state. Okay, so this all you have to understand. You have to read the articles once, so that you'll get the clarity we have already discussed. Next, taxes levied and collected by union but assigned to state. Okay, next, 269A. See, 269A speaks about what? Goods and service tax, GST. This is where it was incorporated when GST was introduced in our country. 269A was included through an amendment. Okay, next set of article 270 speaks about tax levied and distributed between union and state. Next, surcharge. What is surcharge? 271 speaks about surcharge on certain duties on and taxes for the purpose of union. What is surcharge in general? Surcharge is nothing but tax upon tax. You are levying tax, on that again you are levying tax so that government gets more revenue. Suppose your income is crossing certain limit, only then surcharge will be imposed. So now you keep in mind surcharge is something which is tax on tax. So next, jute. This article 273 is related to jute. So anyone who exports jute, for them grant in lieu is provided. Grant in lieu is provided. Okay, especially for north eastern states, this article is applicable. Next, very important article, you should not forget, 274. Why? Because it speaks that, it tells that any bill that is affecting the state's interest with respect to taxation, you have to get permission of whom? Permission of the president. Only then it can be introduced in the parliament, or else such bill is not, it cannot be introduced in the parliament at all. Okay, where state's interest is involved. Next, grant in lieu for union to certain states, from union to certain states. Grants, you are giving certain grants. Central government is giving grants to state government. Demand of grants, very important. Demand of grants, what is the article? 275. Certain articles you have to write in the examination, whatever examination it is, you have to be in a position to express all these articles so that it looks attractive and weightage will be there. Next, taxes on professions, trade, calling and employment, 276. Next, savings, 277. You can neglect this. 278 omitted. Next, 279, very important. Net proceeds. Net proceeds, very important definition. It is like soul of taxation. We can tell net proceeds, because everything is revolving around this. Where are you focusing on? On net proceeds. What is net proceeds? Net proceeds is nothing but it is the amount which government at the end it has. For example, it has earned, it has collected. Suppose let us assume it has collected 10,000 crores. 10,000, for example, general amount 10,000 crores. To collect the 10,000 crores, it has spent 2,000 crores. 2,000 crores it has spent. 10,000 crores it has earned, and it has spent 2,000 crores. What is the remaining? 8,000 crores. 8,000 crores is the amount which is with the government. 2,000 you are removing because it has spent on it. How it has spent? On the administration. It has to give salary to the people. It has to maintain the website. So many things will be there. So 2 crores, it is of like investment for the government, and 8 crores it is making the usage. So that is net proceeds, and not the general definition of net proceeds where profit, loss, no, not that one, which you find in accounts, not that one, but net proceeds with respect to tax. Next, 279A. 279A speaks about GST Council. GST Council, establishment of GST Council. See, two articles are very important. 269A, 279A. See, 10 difference. 69, 79. One speaks about GST. What is GST? 269A. 279A speaks about GST Council. Very simple. 280 is Finance Commission. So role of Finance Commission, who constitutes Finance Commission, what is the composition of Finance Commission, what is the role of Finance Commission, that is very important. Next, recommendation 281. 281 speaks about recommendations of Finance Commission. And very important point that has to be kept in your mind is, are the recommendations of Finance Commission bound, or is it binding on the president? Is it binding on the president? Answer is no, it's not binding. It is just a recommending body. It just suggests, but it is not mandatory for the government to follow it or not. Okay, so that is very important. Next, these are general provisions, not that important. Just you can just glance it, pause and glance it. Next, This is also quite important, but just read it once. 285, exemption of property of union from state taxation. State is not entitled to tax union property. Next, restriction as to imposition of tax on sale or purchase of goods. Next, exemption from taxes on electricity. 287, exemption from taxation by state in respect of water and electricity in certain cases, not all cases, certain cases. So next, exemption of property and income a state from union taxation. So this and first one, these two articles are same. Here it says union, here it says state's property. Okay, next, this is also not that important, can just neglect it, just read it. Next, this is all about part 12. Now part 13. Part 12 is very important. Part 13, what part 13 speaks about? Part 13, it's not speaking directly about the taxation, but however this is directly or indirectly linked to the concept of tax. Why? Because it speaks about trade and commerce. As I told, trade and commerce is very important for money, correct? So if you have money, you can speak about tax. Then this part is very important. Here we have certain aspects. We have what is free trade and power of parliament and state legislature with respect to trade and commerce. Reasonable restriction on trade, very important. Governments can impose reasonable restriction on trade. Okay, next, discrimination of imported goods, very important. So just read it. Freedom of trade. We have freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse throughout the territory of India shall be free. It shall be free. Next, power of parliament to impose restriction. Restriction can be imposed. Restriction can be imposed for what? Public interest. Only on public interest restriction can be imposed. Next, restriction on legislative power of the union and of the state with regard to trade and commerce. Okay, any preference to one state over another, it is not accepted. You can't prefer one state on another. So reasonable, if it's reasonable, then fine. Simply you can't discriminate. Union government cannot discriminate that. So there should be no discrimination between one state and another. Next, any preferences or making of scarcity of goods. When there is scarcity of goods or services, you can make the discrimination. When there is valid reason, discrimination is accepted, or else it is not. That is what that article is speaking about. Okay, next, 304, restriction on trade and commerce and intercourse amongst the states. Suppose if there is a similar goods produced, even X state, Karnataka is also producing the same product, Telangana is also producing the same product, then you can just restrict, because you have to protect the state's interest. When similar goods are protected, domestic market has to be protected, right? So that is the reason you have the concept of reasonable restrictions. Here, reasonable restriction for what? Public interest. And last one is 307, appointment of authority in order to implement all these things, trade and commerce, free trade and commerce. Okay, you can say GST Council also is one amongst that. Though GST Council is established as per Article 279A, but still, one or the other way, even these articles support the constitution of bodies like GST Council. All right. So concluding, we discussed about the constitutional provisions of taxation, and as you can see, very simple. This is the whole picture, brain mapping, or keywords of taxation, what we have in our Indian Constitution. Very important is Part 12 of Indian Constitution, Article 366 and Article 112. All right. So here, see, you have also about money bill, finance bill in constitutional provision. For example, you can also speak about that. We'll speak in the next video, but still you can keep in your mind. We have finance bill or finance act, wherein you have tax rates determined, correct? Tax rates determined, wherein you find this article in 110, 109. You find about money bill and finance bill. So very, very important. Even that you can mention in the constitutional provisions as well. All right. Okay. So thank you. I hope you understood and enjoyed the session. Thank you. See you in the next video.